Good afternoon to my viewers. It is Shirley with a sore throat, but still speaking at you. With Revolutionary Talks. This is Spirit of Matter, Revolutionary Talks. And this is the chart I didn't do. And why do I introduce this person as the chart I didn't do? Because I can think of several people who knew me when, back in 2014, 15, 2016, that would have had a face when I spoke about things that my life path is a part of, in my own understanding of myself. And the more I get to it, the more I have to be self-reflective, and I'd rather do it first. Some things you rather tackle first because they'll be thrown at you. People are gonna throw Franz Fanon at me. Definitely when Pluto enters my 12th house. So, who is this Franz Fanon? So Franz Omar Fanon, do a little Wikipedia, which is becoming nowadays the most comprehensive source that we can imagine, because everything else is being even more aggressively censorized and erased from Google. So as many faults as we can find it, Wikipedia is becoming the most reliable source, huh? Because each and every one of us can write something. Franz Omar Fanon, born in 20 July 1925, died in 6 September 1961. He was a Francophone Afro-Caribbean psychiatrist, political philosopher, and Marxist from the French colony of Martinique. This is today the French department. His works have become so influential in the fields of post-colonial studies, critical theory, and Marxism, as well as being an intellectual. Fanon was a political radical, pan-Africanist, and Marxist humanist concerned with the psychopathology of colonization. It's not the colon, not like that, like colonialism. And the human, social, and cultural consequences of decolonization. And so, yeah, his greatest contribution. If you think about an open dialogue approach in Finland that says, a person is not psychotic, they're having non-dual experience that are part of the lived experience of a human being, and these are signals of a change in their life and perhaps even a societal change that needs to happen in context, and they need the support of the society around them to go through this crisis. Okay, Franz Fanon went a step further a while back. Okay, and that's what we need to understand about him. He basically understood, as a psychiatrist, that the people who come to me, they're not hallucinating, they're not just being aggressive, they're not just being passive for no reason, they're being oppressed. And it affects their mental health, which also affects the physical health. So for I don't even remember what course, I took it upon myself to look into his medical writings and basically draw analysis there, kind of meta-analysis. So I don't have it with me, as many things that went with my old computer, but this work existed in the world, and basically looked at the cases of the patients that he was seeing. So let's take a look a bit further. So he was alma mater, University of Lyon. Notable work: Black Skin, White Masks, The Wretched of the Earth. Spouse Josie Fanon, region Africana philosophy. School was Marxism, Black existentialism, critical theory, existential, and phenomenology. So those of you who know more about Black existentialism, for me, it's like, wow. I just consider him existentialist because I told you I'm humanist, and And the only reason I'm feminist is because women are and queers are like people too, and Lom is, you know, man, and so it's like peopleism. But I don't know at all, other than Franz Fanon, I don't know Black existentialism. So I would very much enjoy that the way that I will be informed is not just me looking it up, but if you have read it, or if you are a thinker or no thinkers and you are a part of this community, it will be a great introduction if you could post a video, or if you link me to a video or link to your work, even in here in the comments below. So I'm consider this very okay as promotion, so we can have a growing community of kind of discourse and being exposed to each other's ideas and the context in which we got to think about them. So yeah, main interest: decolonialization, post-colonialism, revolution, psychopathology of colonization, and psychoanalysis, racism. Notable ideas: double consciousness, colonial alienation, to become Black, and sociogeny. Okay, we're not going to get into all of this. I myself need refreshing on pretty much all of this. Mind you, I went through my own personal zeitgeist trauma, and I am still recovering my own memories from there. So in the course of his work as a physician and a psychiatrist, Fanon supported the Algerian War of Independence from France and was a member of the Algerian National Liberation Front. Fanon had been described as the most influential anti-colonial thinker of his time. For more than 5 decades, the life and works of Fanon have inspired national liberation movements and other freedom and political movements in Palestine, Sri Lanka, South Africa, and the United States. And we definitely do have a notable Palestinian psychologist, probably also psychiatrist, that follow this tradition, follow the necessity to pay attention to oppression. Okay, don't deem a person crazy if they are being oppressed. He formulated a model for community psychology, believing that many mental health patients would do better if they were integrated into their family and communities instead of being treated with institutionalized care. Okay, this is very much the foundation of what we will later see as open dialogue approach that would develop in Finland to supposedly treat psychosis or non-volitional, non-dual experiences. He also helped to found the field of institutional psychotherapy while working at Saint Alban and under Francois Tusquel and Jean Houry. I hope I pronounced it right. So there's a lot to read about this person. I don't think I should be the introduction. Okay, me, a white, secular, possibilionist, but you know, of origin secular Jew and secular Christian person, to introduce, you know, a Black thinker that revolutionized Black thought, it's beyond me. Okay, so I do ignite you to read more, and I will read more myself. But I wanted to look at this chart. This is basically a chart of a person who was revolutionary, but not only that, he understood that the medical situation of a particular person is not personal. Okay? If you talk about the personal is the political of feminists and perhaps later era, women feminists, that came from more capitalist view, okay, ownership over the body as personal property. If you talk about, like you said, open dialogue, even to some extent, the branches of holistic medicine that do tend to context, okay, they don't just say, well, it doesn't matter what you've been through in life, it depends on your point of view and this and that, which I think is less relevant for the time being right now, because it does matter what you went through in life. And there is a connection between the personal and the zeitgeist, especially when you have inner planets in contact with outer planets. So here we have ascendant on the 29th degree of Cancer, with Moon in the first house, Placidus 12th, Pluto in Cancer, and Lilith very close to this ascendant. The midheaven is with Chiron in the 10th house in Aries, ruled by Mars. Stellium in the 2nd house, quite some signification. Sun here is in 27 degrees Cancer, too, so very close to the ascendant. A lot of Cancer placements, which denote of both a life path that has to do with understanding nourishment and care. What is to receive care? What is to care? Who do we care for? Pisces is to do with the motherland, okay? Cancer is to do with the motherland, the people, and of course, the womb and so on and so forth. Leo in the 2nd, so very solar, stellium here, with Rahu in the 5 degrees of Leo, Mars 15 degrees, Venus 20 degrees, Neptune 21 degrees, and Mercury on the 22nd degree of the to kill or be killed. I don't know how he died. I will look at it later. In Capricorn, we have Jupiter, 16 degrees Capricorn in the 6th house. Jupiter in the 7th house. It's very confusing because the descendant is in 29 degree, but Jupiter is in the 7th house. Here, retrograde, and opposing the moon and Pluto from the 7th. Okay, so we have Pluto, Jupiter. Jupiter here is ruling both the 6th house of health and pets and enemies at work, labor, and the 9th house, Pisces, where we have Uranus retrograde on 25 degrees. By the way, disclaimer, his Uranus is on a degree away from my ascendant, okay? So you kind of get like a bit, how do I relate to this person and in what way he affects me so much, blah, blah, blah. Uranus trines the sun, okay? It separates from a trine to the sun and the ascendant. And to some degree, not to some degree, it applies to trine Lilith and the moon. So immediately, and of course, Pluto here is Saturn is applying basically to trine Pluto. Saturn is in Scorpio, 7 degrees. And this Saturn in Scorpio is in the 5th house. It's confusing, okay? Because Placidus it would be 4, but here it is in the 5th. Note the ascendant is on the 29th degree. So just looking, at just the inner outer planets. I cannot ignore the fact that the midheaven is right on Chiron in Aries. Okay, so midheaven is right on Chiron, and it is a Mars ruled in the 10th house. Mars here is in his 2nd. This does mean that he has a sort of position of authority, and there's a wound around it, maybe an authority for people whose sovereignty has been wounded. Okay, and this is his income. That's his skill. That's what he makes a living from. Okay, ruler of the 10th in the 2nd. What you're most known for is what you made. It's your skill. It's what you made a living by. Aries is about self-determination, and right now we have Rahu on the 29 degrees of Aries. So Rahu is conjuncting this midheaven. It's no wonder that they come back, okay, to Franz Fanon. So if Aries is sovereignty, self-determination of peoples, but also of individuals, and Chiron is there with the midheaven, this denotes of a person who has a life path that they can be struggling with self-determination, whether it's to know who they are, so identity, or to develop their life path, and there's a side in them that needs to be accepted. And so they will eventually, especially after 50, but also before that, meet people and they will not find a cure. They will have to comprise the cure themselves, and they will notice something that no other doctor talks about. No shaman and no MD. Okay? And this is important. It's not just about, oh, you need to do shamanic healing. And it's not just about, oh, I won't go to this doctor, I'll go to that doctor. No doctor, every doctor will taste something that is right, but it's like a Swiss cheese. Okay, where your chiron's at, you'll know this. When you try to tackle things or go to therapy around something that involves your chirons, you understand that there's something deep here, that you get something from someone, but along the side, you can also get the wound. Okay, then what the doctors have been taught is actually hurting patients. Okay, and his role is basically to be this alternative healer also to the alternative healers. Okay, and that is what he makes a living by. Very obvious. And those wounds have to do with self-determination. So I'm not surprised that this person supported resisting to colonialism and saw how colonialism affects the identity of the people who are oppressed. In this case, Black people in Algeria. Not only Black people in Algeria, I believe, but Black identity in general. Okay? The outer planets to inner planets. So the inner planets that we have connecting here with Uranus is the moon and the sun. Okay, Uranus is kind of like between the moon and the sun. This means moon and sun represent our, if we are going to be very stereotypical, mama and papa. Okay. The lunar caregiver, the solar caregiver. Now, a lot of us, including me, have grown mainly with one parent, or maybe even only with one parent, or parents with that they're not like mother and father, but more like mother and mother, father and father, and so on and so forth. And yet, it's the relation between the caregivers. One that is the solar, that cares for us in a way of inspiration. Here, look, there is something interesting here. There is something interesting there. How do you want to shine? What do you want to do when you grow up? And the other caregiver that is more containing, and it can be within the same person. We all need them both, right? Containing, hopefully validating, giving emotional safety in the sense of expressing your feelings and having your feelings validated. While the sun is more about your confidence, your shine, having the confidence, the safety to shine in the world. So the sun and the moon don't see each other here. The moon is decreasing, but they both see Uranus. And this tells me that this revolutionary planet that is Uranus here in Pisces, and Pisces is revolution in the health care. Okay? Pisces is about healing, many other things, okay? It's also about people who are drunk, people who have addiction, people who need healing, but also about the healers themselves. Uranus is to revolutionize something, okay? So revolutionize healing, the way we see healing, the profession of healthcare, simply put. Okay? That created the union between his moon and sun aspects of himself that don't see each other. Okay, so you can get how personal was this revolution to him. This makes me want to look at my chart. I have the inconjunct, but my moon and sun are actually great as the sextiling. But then comes this Uranus, the inconjunct, both of them in separating aspects. But here, Uranus between the moon and sun, but trining them. Okay, it's like they don't see each other, but there's this revolution in the healthcare that they can both relate to. So they relate through to each other, by the merit of this Uranus that is out there. This is considered a lunar chart. Okay. And so the most problematic planet could be Saturn. But Saturn here is very strong. It's direct in Scorpio. Saturn in Scorpio is very strong, although it can give to the person, as a natal Saturn retrograde in Scorpio, it can give to the person very intense emotions and evolutions that are very personal, that nobody hears about. With this trine to Pluto, they can be concealed and exposed at a later age. Okay? It can be the type of person who can help you, but you don't know why they help you, and then when they turn 36, maybe even their 40s or after the Pluto square, they give an interview or they write a blog or they tell something about their life, and you kind of run into this and you're like, oh my God, they've been through all this. They've been through all this, but you didn't know it. Because what they go through it alone. It can be tremendously isolating. It's no wonder that this person had existentialism in him. Okay? Existentialism, Saturn in Scorpio, wow, this is a perfect a match made in heaven or hell. And Saturn, Pluto, it's not the first time I see this. I think also Oppenheimer had this, the person who was in charge of the Los Alamos laboratories and kind of put into practice the A-bombs. It allows you to develop a structure with diligence that is and basically not revolutionize in here, transform deeply. Okay, revolution is out and loud. Transformation is something that's almost hidden and then is exposed. Something that completely unearths the core of some structure, and this structure in Scorpio has to do with taboo topics. It can be sexuality, a sexual drive, but also blood, issues of blood, and in this case, structure of blood, bloodline, or even DNA. Can be generalizing here. Bloodline and even DNA. So something ancestral about the bloodline, a blood issue, a sexual issue, deep psychological stuff. So the structure of psychology in this case, and here also the structure of psychiatry, Mars that is ruling Scorpio is also ruling Aries, which is ruling the head, so the mind, the head. So a deep transformation of emotional understanding, Cancer, and caring for people who had neurological and psychiatric supposedly structures in their head that were previously misunderstood. Okay. Again, well, Pluto opposes this Jupiter in Capricorn in the 7th, which is another touch of a personal planet to the outer, but the Sun and Moon here are really the strongest. We do see Pluto here quite powerful and very supportive of what he wants to do. Okay? Although not easy, but very supportive. Both Mercury and Venus sandwich Neptune. Okay, Neptune in 21 degrees, Venus 20 degrees, Mercury 22 degrees. So it's like a sandwich to Neptune. Okay, conjunction to Neptune. Neptune here in the 2nd house. Neptune is also a sign of the medicine, Poseidon. Okay, it's the sign of the god of the sea. Okay, what is the god of the sea? It's basically that god which rules these currents that we have no control over. Okay. Do you understand what is the difference between, what is the connection between the symbol of Neptune, which I see in psychiatry, that is also related to shamanistic healing, that is also related to Pisces, whether we like it or not? Yes, Neptune is related to Pisces. Can we just allow for that not to be controversial for a moment? So absolutely, Neptune is drugs, so medications, addictions, drugs that you can addict to. Most addictions, by the way, in this current world are to prescribed drugs. Okay, so the war on drugs is not just about heroin or meta something, but prescribed drugs that people become addicted to. Venus, okay, value, relations, and here she's in Leo. So value, relations, possessions, skill to do with relationships. So it can also be a person whose skill is to shed a light, Leo, on relationships and possessions and financial, like self-value stuff. And Mercury, which is communication, the ability to communicate. This is a person who is very much aware personally of how something can give us a sense of disempowerment, loss, that makes it difficult for us to both relate, have a healthy relationship or relationships with people, have possessions, even have wealth, as well as speak, okay, our speech. The hidden currents of our communications, very much think about Mercury in Pisces and how many great poets, great painters, okay, are with Mercury in Pisces. This communication through art. Here in Leo, this sense of performance or this sense of communication or of acting out, okay, acting out not by merit of Mars per se, but by merit of being an actor or an actress that displays a certain drama that is also some traumatic event of loss. Now, what is the deal here? Uranus, Pluto, and Neptune are not personal planets. Okay, when a not personal planet touches on your personal planet, your difficult with communication is not Chiron, okay? It's not Chiron. Let's say you have Chiron in Gemini, okay, or Chiron in Virgo, or Chiron in aspect to Mercury. Then you may have difficult to express yourself because there's something you need to accept about yourself. What is this thing we need to see? But when there is an outer planet contacting your Mercury, speaking as a native Mercury opposition Pluto, okay, in a plane aspect, when there's an outer planet contacting your Mercury, your difficulties with communication, they don't have anything to do only with you. You try to speak, you say something, and you can say something even naively, and then it gets a certain reaction. Or you, with Neptune here, you can be at loss of words. You can't speak, okay? You can't say something. You don't have the, it's not that you don't even have the right words. You don't have the words, or you speak without control. You speak, and the words flow like the sea, flowing. So a stream of unconsciousness, sozusagen, okay? This is not a personal problem. There is something that happens here. Okay? A word can become a trigger. It can oppress, it can upset the king, it can upset the regime, it can upset society. With Moon and Sun, okay, how I feel with this Uranus is revolutionary. And it can be something as simple as, a child that their mommy says, or the daddy says, oh, you're so sweet, you are so this, you're so that. And the child says, I hate you. And you say, why? And it's very insulting, okay? It can be something as simple as that, but there's this group of children that have these feelings. You're like, what's going on? And then you find out that this group of children were, assaulted, and their parents, and as they were trying to show symptoms, the parents were, oh, you don't need to cry, it's nothing serious, darling, everything will be okay. And the parents didn't mean anything bad, but these children were oppressed, and so the child suddenly says, I hate you. But they don't even know to tell what was wrong, because it's a child, right? Okay. Those are things that really change us, not just on a personal level, but also on a societal level. There's something going on in society right now, and this person is affected very, very directly by this. And this is also important to understand how come at a given time, not all people are affected by something. It's true, you can go through tremendous things, and you might not either not deal with them or repress them, or they won't affect you as much as they would affect, another person, or they won't become part of your life path. And another person can go through similar thing, and that changes them. That changes everything. This is where that person is kind of being recruited. Okay, you've been picked as a part of the people who are going to change society and going to be a part of this larger story that's going to be exposed in so and so years. And with Karen is 50 years. And this is where I also want to look at is that he died in 1961. 61, so 2011, right? 2011 or 2000, yes, 2011. 2011 we had 50 years to his death. So perhaps there was a special honoring of him, but maybe we would discover something. But also to his life at age 50, there would be something that he discovered. But he died at 36, 25, 50 years from that is 75, right? 75, 1975. Something around this, I don't know, maybe to do with colonialism or Algeria even, I don't remember. I don't remember. So look at this. We'll do a little bit of asteroids because why not? Yes, we have asteroids. So, but what do we have here? We have Humia with the Sun and Rahu, between the Sun and Rahu. Well, I have to admit, not a lot of, well, we have Aries in 0 degrees Aries back then. So it's only 5 degrees from Uranus. And this means that this Aries in 0 degrees, she definitely, what is she doing there? It's not a square, it's trining. She's trining, it's an out of sign trine to his ascendant. Okay, you can see how meeting Aries also has to do with certain discord, certain views that create, that irritate the convention in science or in the scientific community. Okay, if you take a look at psychiatry as, oh, what is the problem in your brain? And at psychology as, what is the problem with the penis or the vagina of your mother and father? Then we definitely have a very contextualized point of view here that is beyond the personal and beyond the locality hypothesis regarding the way the brain functions. So definitely a revolution here that unfortunately in 2023 there are some people or many people that are not up to speed with their own profession. And that is but an example. Okay, Aries is the strongest asteroid affection here with Umea. Humia, I'm not going to touch too deep on that or try to get into Humia because I want to kind of keep on topic. And this is a short one. It's definitely not extensive. There's definitely so much more to say about this person and probably about this chart too. We get the fixed stars, just the fixed stars here. Okay, so we'll probably have them soon. I think it is currently not available, but if we have something special here, angular, not Regulus, Saturn, no, not Saturn, No, we don't have any particular kind of like royal star here that I can see. There are probably more fixed stars that I do need to pay attention to. Oh, we have Lilith with Procyon, lot of fortune with Procyon. Okay, then that is very meaningful. And Procyon here, Procyon is about sweetening something and de-escalating conflict. So it's very counterintuitive to think about this, but it's actually the way that these patients or his patient expressed aggression and became active about the situation that actually sweetened a certain inner conflict, a psychological conflict. But this is not usually the way Procyon operates, and so I'm actually surprised to see Procyon here, especially ruling the lot of fortune, which I totally did not expect. And that means that the lot of fortune has to do with peak events that to do with the person's life path and or physical body. Anything more? Oh, Pluto is on Sirius. Pluto is on Sirius. Well, Sirius is a very diverse planet that asks us to be more inclusive in general. Pluto there is kind of asking us to be more inclusive. Makes sense. But that's what I remember. So this is an example of what does a chart of a revolutionary can look like, and how you can tell that whatever this person's dealing with is very tied to a change that they are a part of making in the world. So thank you for watching. I'm almost losing my voice. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.